our pathways of our brain, is it possible then for there to be an algorithm that could predict a thought, a human thought, and eventually we could, in theory, download our brain?
I think that's, I've heard a lot of people talk about that, and I have someone in my class working on that, and I think you might hear more about that someday soon. I think it is possible to train off of examples, so we know that to be a fact. And that's what we do in natural language, NLP, natural language processing, is we get a bunch of training data from people and we train off of them. Typically, it's training data from lots of different people. It could be training data from one person. So you could learn to talk like one person, perhaps, if you have enough training data. Another thing is, where's AI used every day? Well, it's using your phone, right? Maybe you use Siri, maybe you use Google Now or something like that, maybe use Google, whatever it is. And so that needs to personalize. That needs to understand you and what you mean when you say things, and everyone talks differently. And so whereas there have been systems that always interpret one word the same way on every different device, I think that's actually a challenge that people are working on now, is how do you personalize it so that when one person asks about a giant score, you know it means baseball, whereas another person, they mean football. So these things like that, people are working on that, and I would definitely not say it couldn't be done. I think that we're getting closer.
I have one last question. Is creativity teachable? And if so, how would you teach a computer?
Let me answer it like a scientist there. Is first I would go get a training set, an evaluation set. And first I would say, tell me how you can determine if something's creative. And maybe you can't give me a description of what makes something creative, like creativity consists of this, but maybe you can look at examples and say, this is more creative than those other things. So first I would get that together, and then what I would do is then I'd try to figure out, well, you're an expert, because you're understanding why these things are creative and these things aren't. What's going on in your head? You know, what do you know? What's all the background knowledge you're bringing to this problem? And then I would go look at, where can I get background knowledge like that? How much does it actually take to do that? Maybe I look at somebody who's skilled and somebody who's not skilled and see what different reasoning techniques they use. So I would, very literally, I would break it down to a problem like that. I would get experts. And that brings up something else, which is, do you feel that experts can identify what's creative?